Hey guys, welcome. So if you're a fan of Zorin OS, I have a small video for you, a little overview of Zorin OS 17 beta. I'll talk a little bit about the release notes. I'll show you a link where you can get the beta copy and the release notes. And then I'll also talk a little bit about Zorin OS if you have never heard of it. Zorin OS is a beginner's category for Linux. And it has a lot to offer you, and now they have some new toys that I'm going to demo some of them today for you. You can see my hardware information here. I'm also connected to the internet using Wi-Fi 6 with fiber optic also on the outside world. So I have a fairly fast connection because I'll talk a little bit about the software store in a little bit. All right, so I'm not part of the developer teams. So there's a send feedback down there. I knew I could say that. If you decide to install and test drive it, I'll let the developers know a little bit about what your experiences are, or even tips. All right, now with that said, I am filming in 1920 by 1080. It does look very nice in 4K though. So with that said, I'm going to close that and just make mention of this. You are watching this on Linux for Seniors. You can see an icon of a person floating around here by the time and date. If you want to click that, you can subscribe to Linux for Seniors. I have 270 videos and growing. I have lots of videos on Zorin also. You can use my keywords search feature. If you're not too keen on that, you can read that in my About Community tab. And I have instructions on how to use that. All my videos are keyword searchable. Linux is for any age, but the name of my channel is Linux for Seniors. So I make mention of that comment in my About section. I also have some links in my About section, and one of them is to the next website that I'm going to talk about. So this is where you can get a quick link about Zorin. So today's date is the 5th of December. This article was produced yesterday on the 4th of December 2023. Not sure when you're going to watch this video. But more importantly, I will just point to the link right here. If you want to test drive the Zorin 17 GNOME Core Desktop Beta, you can click that link. And it's a little less than 4 gigabytes. You can burn that onto a USB stick or DVD. All right, if you don't know too much about Zorin, let me click this. So I like DistroWatch for a lot of reasons, but one thing I don't use is the popularity factor on DistroWatch. All right, let me get rid of this commercial. So Zorin OS is Debian and Ubuntu based. LTS is long-term support out of Ireland. It's on GNOME desktop or an XFCE. I'm using GNOME today. It is listed as a beginners. So if you're brand new to the Linux world, this will be one thing to maybe go test drive. Anytime you see the word live medium, that means you can download a copy, burn it onto a DVD or CD, and test drive it. There's their official homepage, zorinos.com. I'll click it for a second so you can see the link at the top. Then I'll go backwards and talk a little bit about the release notes along with their commercials here on DistroWatch because they have a lot of them. And I understand why they need to do that. So, but anyways, let's take a peek at the release notes. So before I get going, I'm going to just mention a couple of things. First of all, I gave you system information on what kind of hardware that I had, but I didn't tell you what kind of keyboard and mouse. So I'm using a fairly standard wireless keyboard and wireless mouse. So with that said, I also have a key on my keyboard that some of you folks may or may not have, and that is called a super key or a start key. Some people call it a Windows key. It's located on most keyboards somewhere between the Control and the Alt key on the left-hand side. If you don't have one of those, then you can use that button down here next to the Z. Because I'm going to do a demo on this in a minute. So this is one of their wallpapers on the sneak peek of beta. Keep in mind, this is beta. Okay. So what's new? Well, they got new improvements on the search feature. Again, this is more made for folks that have already experienced Zorin. And if you haven't, you can always go test drive it, right? So multitasking redefined. I'm actually going to demo this for you. I'm I'm going to minimize this window, kind of toss it to the side, and we're going to open up something else. I'll just use the file manager. All right, so I got actually 3 things open. You can only see 2 because my simple screen recorder is actually the other one. So if you don't have a super key, you can actually click that and it produces the same effect. Now, when you install this copy, you can actually log into this desktop in 2 forms, Wayland or X11. You can actually do that from your login screen. When you click on your username, there'll be a little gear symbol in the, well, close to the right-hand corner. You can click on it. It's almost inconspicuous. And you can switch from the Wayland to the X11. The X11 is the one on the bottom. That's what I'm using because of the simple screen recorder. But Wayland is not very kind on simple screen recorder. Anyways, with that said, I am going to take my mouse and click this and rotate that this way and that way, just to have a little fun. Get yourself a little different experience. Okay, I'll let go of that. Now, I'm going to press my start button. Again, some people call it a super key. So you have that effect. If I click the start key twice, I get this effect. And I can certainly just open up Calculator rather easily. And I'll leave that one open. There's another option that's new, and that would be holding down the Alt key and Tab. And I'm going to hit the, I'm still holding the Alt key. While hitting the Tab key, I can cycle through these. You can actually see the bits and bytes while I'm recording. All right, so I'm up to 6 minutes and 54 seconds. Cycling through these. I'm going to let go of that. Now I'm going to close that and that. A couple more tips for you. I know I kind of bore some of my my subscribers by mentioning this over and over again because the fact is I never know when I have a new subscriber or a new watcher. If you need to increase the size of this window, double click on this imaginary bar. You can also click and hold and drag it to the top and pull it up. Click and hold and pull it down. You can also bounce it off the wall and then it'll give you a half a screen. And I'll pull this back down and do the same on the other end. All right, so that's some of those little tips. I'm going full screen. So I'm going to right click on the task or panel bar and talk about Zorin Appearance, because to activate these tools you need to turn them on. So you have the standard layout, and if you've ever used a Zorin desktop, this should be looking very familiar to you. So you can have 4 selections. Well, unless you got the Pro version, and we're not going to talk about that because this is a beta copy. So we have the theme, light theme, dark theme, different accent colors, and so forth. The effects is where these 2 will be turned off. The desktop cube and the window switcher. This one here has a gear symbol. That means there's some configuration. So let me scroll down here a little bit farther. So this will be like a running mini video, if you want to call it that, of that effect that I just showed a couple of minutes ago. Okay. So again, all I'm doing is this. Okay. I'm actually doing this live now. And that web browser is actually updating information. It's kind of cool. Okay. So, and then this one here I showed you also. That would be the Alt and the Tab key cycling through these. So again, effects in Zorin Appearance, turn these guys on. There's also one more, and I think that information is a little bit farther down, but I'll talk about it anyways. Under Interface, you'll also have Advanced Window Tiling. I don't remember if this is off by default. I think it is. All right, so faster, smoother, and then a refresh software store. When I started this video, I made mention of what kind of connection I have to the internet. The network card in this machine is Wi-Fi 6. That Wi-Fi 6 is connected to my router, which is connected to fiber optic out to the outside world. So I have a fiber optic coming in, and then it's converted into Wi-Fi 6. So I have a fairly fast connection. So significantly faster was not my experience, and I actually sent the developer some feedbacks regarding the store. software store. I found it a little slow. However, after doing some experimenting, I realized a lot of these applications are actually coming from flathub.org. This will pull in a second, but again, I found this a little slow. I'm going to click on a couple of these and let's just see the source. If you don't know too much about flathub.org, a lot of Linux distributions use this same FlatHub site. And it's possible that either FlatHub is having server issues at the time I'm making this video, or possibly it's just slow in general nowadays because everybody's using it. I don't know which. But a lot of these pieces of software are coming from FlatHub. So I'm not going to bore you to death. It's a nice interface nonetheless. So down at the bottom, let me go back. Down at the bottom here, the codecs pull in immediately because they're coming directly from Zorin. So I think that may be what's going on. I'm not absolutely sure though, but this is a beta. But nonetheless, this is very nice. You know, nice big screenshots, simple install keys, and again, in this case, the source is only Flatpak. All right, I'm going to go back to the hamburger menu for a second. Here's where the software repositories, or where the stuff is coming from. Okay. Additional drivers if you need some. I'm using an AMD graphics card, so it's not necessary. A lot of you folks use NVIDIA graphics cards, and a lot of your Linux distributions also have proprietary drivers that you can install. AMD normally doesn't require those. So you got an installed category, and then you have updates. So this is the software store. Okay. Now, let me go back to the web browser. We've already covered that now. Now, I'm just going to make mention of this before I get going. So the advanced window tiling, again, can be found through this setting right here. Okay, interface, advanced. Okay. I've been around computers for over 40 years. I've been around Linux for over 30. My philosophy has always been this when I'm asked questions about this, that, and the other. Test, drive it yourself. A lot of people don't like this icon set, but others do. Sometimes they don't like the appearance of the desktop itself. Sometimes they don't like a piece of software, such as Firefox. They want a different web browser. Yet everybody's different. Sometimes it has to do with your hardware also. Some folks like to run on really old computers, and we don't have a humongous selection nowadays to run on those super old computers nowadays, because we all are into this graphical environment, which requires a little bit more horsepower. So again, everybody's experience is different. I always recommend test driving stuff yourself. All right. New quick settings menu. Adjustable power modes. New screenshot experience. Again, I'm going to point to that. You just click this multifunction thing. Screenshot tool is right there. Selection, screen, window. Take the screenshot. All right, that's what this is referring to. Redesigned weather app. Might as well open that up too. It's right here. It looks like that. This is the live mode. So you just plug in the city and you have hourly and daily. Simple, but nice at the same time. And then coming soon. Okay, parental controls, slimmer status, pop-ups, streamlined something, something. And anyways, you can read a lot of this. Support until 2027. All right. There's where you can also download that directly off the blog for Zorin.com. Okay. Or you can go through DistroWatch if you like. Now I'm going to close that. Let's quickly go through the menus and username, accessories, graphics, internet. Again, remember, software store, you can install stuff. LibreOffice is 7.6. I believe it's the latest. And sound and video, I added simple screen. So the rest of these came installed. System tools. There's another shortcut there to Zorin Appearance, and here, and then you can right click on the taskbar or panel bar. So again, there it is. Utilities. So you'll also find on your live medium, or if you want to call it the installation copy, if you download that ISO, you'll find a tool called GP or gparted if you wanted to redo your partitions before you install. It's a nice tool to have. I also have a dedicated video on that on my YouTube site. It's quite old, but it's very long also for absolute beginners. Nice search feature, shortcuts to your home folders and stuff. Software store, settings here. Right click on the desktop, settings here. Right click on the taskbar, settings here. Click this open, settings here. Yes, there's multiple ways to get to settings. All right, we have the log out, lock, restart, and shutdown key, or power off. Same thing with this, you have one here. Icons are here for feedback, so if you decide to install this beta copy, you find something that you want them to improve, or you find something that you dislike, maybe you want to take and send them some feedback regarding this desktop, Zorin OS 17. New folder, this is right clicking on the desktop. New documents, LibreOffice stuff, text file. Select all, arrange icons, arrange by. Show desktop files, open up your terminal. Change the background, might as well open that. These are your 3 selections, you can add your own. Display settings, don't forget, you can quickly change that through here. Always look at your refresh rates too when you do this. If you're running this mode in 4K and you decide to crank the refresh rate down to real slow, sometimes you get a black screen. And that black screen will stay like that for sometimes 15 seconds. Do not turn off your computer, do not click anything. Allow it to time out. It normally will refresh to the previous working screen resolution. Just a little tip there. And then of course, settings again. So one more time. This is Zorin 17 Beta. Thank you for watching.